Hello, everybody. I am Stephanie Bonti-Lebert, teaming up with the Colibri Life community to bring you this introductory communication training called Bank for Relationships. If you have not already taken your bank personality assessment, please go back to that video. There's a link that you can go to take the 90-second assessment and determine what your personality code is. And I describe a little bit about how it works. So assuming that you have watched that video, you've cracked your code, and now we're going to dig into what does that mean? Now that you know your personality type, or you know the personality type of other people in your family, how can you start to use that information to connect more authentically with every single person in your life? So the Bank for Relationships training really touches in on various areas of your life for dating, marriage, parenting, and friendships. This is an introductory training, so I'm going to focus a little bit more on parenting in this training, also given just the makeup of Colibri Life's community. And I'm going to give you some general overview and tips, but you're going to come away with a lot of information in this training. As a reminder, Bank is considered a language. We like to say one world, one language. We are the language of people. Science has actually proven that there are 4 personality types in the world, and we want to learn how to speak to all 4 personality types to bring people together on every level. Just some relationship facts. The most important quality in dating is personality. 50% of marriages end in divorce. The number one objective in parenting is parenting the child you have, not the one you wish you had. And most friendships end due to lack of common interests and connection. So let's talk a little bit about the science behind this methodology. This science has 4 personality types called blueprint, action, nurture, and knowledge. This is actually based in science. The Greek physician Hippocrates made this famous with his theory of the 4 temperaments. This was back in 400 BC. He actually didn't invent this. It was already proven in science. He just made it famous with his theory. But he realized, the science proved, that there were 4 basic types of people in the general population. And Hippocrates actually treated them differently depending on which temperament they fell into. And he called them urine, bile, blood, and phlegm, I believe it was. And so this is based on the theory that if people are different, if there are 4 basic personality types in the general population and they're different and they're treated differently physically, might they also make decisions differently? So many of us have taken a personality assessment of some kind. A lot of them are very famous: DISC, Myers-Briggs, Color Assessment, StrengthsFinder. You'll find a lot of them out there. And we often get asked, what's the difference between this assessment and all the other assessments on the market? So take DISC, for example, that's D-I-S-C, and ours is BANK, B-A-N-K, and you line them up, and they're exactly the same, only they're completely different. And it's the difference that's the game changer, because while the other assessments are based in psychology, our assessment is based in biology, spelled B-U-Y, the science of buying behavior. And for the purposes of this relationship course, I want you to replace that with the science of yes behavior. What makes someone say yes to something? What makes someone agree with someone else? That is actually based in science, and that's what our assessment helps determine. And this is really the missing link here. How can you create influence with every single person? How can you understand what will make them say yes and take action, whether that is the action of getting a child to do something like their homework, or stop throwing a temper tantrum, to a friend, what movie are you going to go to convincing someone at work to take a certain action. This is the science behind understanding what to say in order to help them get to a yes. So in the movie The Da Vinci Code, Tom Hanks runs around trying to find the secret to the Holy Grail. The secret is locked up in this device called a cryptex. And the cryptex has a code that must be entered exactly in order for it to open up. The problem is that it's booby-trapped. And if you enter the wrong code, the secret is written on a piece of paper that's wrapped around a vial of vinegar. And if the wrong code is entered, that vial of vinegar breaks, dissolving the piece of paper, leaving you with nothing. So I want you to imagine that everybody's walking around with this little device in their pocket. And inside that device is a script that's exactly what they need to hear in order to say yes to whatever it is that you're proposing. How many of you would love to know exactly what the code is that you need to enter this device so you could pull that piece of paper out and you could say to your son or daughter exactly what you need to say to get them to make their bed, do their homework, clean up their room, whatever that looks like for you in your home life or in your friendships. Many of us would, and this is really the game changer because that's what we teach you how to do. And in fact, most of us go around delivering the wrong script quite a bit. We have a personality type a primary personality type for each of us, and we tend to communicate based on our primary personality type. So 25% of the time, I might run into somebody who's the same primary personality type as me, and so I deliver a script that resonates with them. They're like, oh yeah, I'm just like you, and I hear what you're saying, and that makes sense, and let's move forward. But 3 out of 4 times, you're coming across someone who's a different primary personality type than you, and they don't quite understand what you're saying, or their viewpoint or their value system is different from yours, and so they're saying, no, yeah, I don't think so. I'm not going to do whatever it is you're asking me to do. And the worst part is that, especially for those of us who are parents, we do often have more than one child, and they have different personalities. So we're delivering a script, and maybe one child's on board, and they're like, yes, I'm going to take action. And the other one's like, no way. How do you switch it? How do you change the script to help get all of the kids on board? Or you've got different family members. Maybe it's siblings of yours that are different. And how do you convince siblings? For example, we've had many fabulous family reunions over the years, and we have to interact with our families often, to plan events together or to be together for an entire day. How do you communicate in such a way that you can connect with everybody and not just some of your family members? So here's what we help teach, and that is to come up with the ability to create different scripts for different people depending on who is in front of you. And so instead of delivering just one script where you're delivering from your primary personality type and you're hitting the mark about 25% of the time, you're learning how to develop the scripts for all 4 personality types and then increasing your ability to connect with more people. And we call this cracking the relationship code and taking it to the bank. So do opposites attract or attack? Why do opposites attract? We have found often that we tend to marry our opposites. So I am an action type, and you'll learn what that means. And my husband's a blueprint type, and I will also explain what that means. There's a lot of opposites in those 2 personality types. However, we were very attracted to each other, and we decided to get married. So why do we attract each other? So the blueprint says to the action type, my husband says to me, oh, you're so exciting. You're an entrepreneur. You show up unexpectedly. You make things happen. And I say to my blueprint husband, you're so reliable. You have a job. You pay your bills. You have food in the fridge. A nurture tends to marry a knowledge type. We've discovered many nurture-knowledge partnerships in our community. And a nurture will say to the knowledge type, you're so smart. You know everything. You solve all of our problems. You listen to me. And the knowledge type says to the nurture, you're so sweet. You pay attention to me. You take care of me. You have so many friends. But why do opposites then start to attack? After the honeymoon period, they call it, right? So the blueprint says to me, you're so annoying. You don't have a job or a plan. You're always late to everything. You drive me crazy. And the action says to the blueprint, you're so boring. You always do the same thing. You don't take risks. You have too many rules. And the nurture says to the knowledge type, you're so cold. You don't say you love me. You don't touch me. You don't spend time with me. And the knowledge type says, you're so needy. You're so touchy. You talk too much. You're too emotional. So these are just a couple examples of different pairings. Of course, a knowledge type could marry an action or marry a blueprint. There's different combinations of this, but those are just some examples. So I'm going to get into this system so we can start to break this down a little bit better and give you an introduction to how this system really works for relationships. Let's talk about blueprint. So blueprint is blue because I've never heard of a red print or a green print or a yellow print. We tried to make this simple and easy to understand. Okay, so blueprints are blue, and I want you to think of the box analogy. Blueprints love to be inside the box. When they're inside the box, they feel safe. And that is the primary commodity that blueprints trade in. They will say yes to things that make them feel safe, that feel predictable, that feel like they are in control of what's going to happen. My husband is a blueprint. And when we first got married, I was living in New York City, and he came up. We got married in the New York City courthouse, actually, to save money, which a blueprint loves, by the way. They will do anything to save $1. And I was fine with it because it was my second marriage anyway. And I just wanted to marry the guy. And we actually had a very romantic wedding. We got married in the courthouse. We walked across the Brooklyn Bridge and took pictures and went to Central Park and had more photos. And then had a really intimate dinner with about 15 people, our closest friends. And it was a lovely event. And I remember when we were preparing to move down to Maryland, right outside Washington, D.C. My husband works for NASA. He's worked there now for over 30 years. And that's also very blueprint of him, because blueprints, once they find a happy place, they don't like to change. They don't like change. Change is very scary. So they will stay in the same job for a long period of time. But I remember my husband saying to me, "You need to have a job before you move down to Maryland." And I thought, really? I'm like, I can't just move down there and figure it out, because I'm an action type. So I would happily just move down to Maryland and start job searching and just start figuring out what I need to do. And I know in my mind, it would not take long for me to find a job, because I'm a very successful person and people would love to hire me, right? So why not? Why not just let me move down there, figure it out once I get there? I'll probably have a job within a few days. But my blueprint husband thought that was really risky, because in his mind, he was saying to himself, how can I afford to have this extra expense really come into my life? And he probably was projecting all the different scenarios. He tends to think about all the things that could go wrong, which is very blueprint, because blueprints have plans. They have plan A, they have plan B, they have plan C, they have plan D. So he was thinking of all the things that could go wrong. And one of them was that he was going to have to, take care of me, and I was going to have no income to help support the family. So because I loved him enough, I went ahead and secured myself a job before I physically moved down to Maryland, and that made him feel safe. Luckily, I was wise enough to make that compromise, but I know lots of other action types that would have been very offended by that request and would have said, listen, if you love me, you'll let me figure it out when I get down there. And this is when we start to have relationship friction. So that was just, the start of our relationship. And we've had many stories beyond that of how actions and blueprints start to turn that attraction into attack. But I just wanted to give you a real example. Here are some parenting tips, since I wanted to focus on parenting a little bit with this community, is when you are parenting a blueprint child, you want to keep a schedule and communicate it so they know the plan. Blueprints love plans. They love to understand what is happening today. What am I going to do? What's the first period of the school day? And then what's next? And then what time is lunch? And then what time am I school over with, and will mom and dad be there to pick me up on time? If mom and dad are not on time picking up a child from school, it can create a lot of anxiety for a blueprint child. Have a routine and follow it. They love routines. Routines make them feel safe. We have a bedtime routine, for example, for our son, even though he's an action type, but we still have a routine because my husband believes in routines as a blueprint father. So I'll talk a little bit when we get to action section about how we manage my husband's blueprint against my son's action. But blueprints love routines. Be very clear about curfews, bedtime, and timelines. In fact, you can even put things in writing. It helps a blueprint feel like they've got something to go back to that says, hey, you said here in writing that my curfew was 11. Okay, so that way they really are clear and they feel good about how to proceed forward. All right, the action type. So action is red. Think red hot. Think, mover, shaker, millionaire maker. The box analogy. Blueprints are inside the box. Actions don't have a box. They don't like a box. Don't put me inside a box. It makes them feel too constricted. The commodity that action types trade in is lifestyle. They say yes to things that help them live the lifestyle that they really want to live. And they love to have fun. So they're often motivated by fun activities and a feeling of freedom and flexibility. So I am an action type. And I absolutely do not have a budget, which blueprints have. Okay, so there's a potential area of friction between me and my husband. My son is also an action type. And so you can imagine that my husband wanting to have very clear structures about how the day moves forward, especially the bedtime routines, and my action son wanting just to have fun, that when my husband started to say, okay, it's time for bed, that was a signal to my action son to act out and to do everything possible to not have bedtime routines start. He would fight every step along the way, from brushing his teeth to getting his pajamas on, reading a book. He fought it until I said, honey, I think we need to have a new approach here. I think that our son, he just wants to have fun. So what if we made the bedtime routine fun for him? What if we made a game out of everything that we did? So I started racing him to see who could get the toothpaste on the toothbrush first. And then I said, okay, we each have 20 seconds to make sure we brush every single tooth on the top. Do you think we can both do it? Okay, let's see. Brush, 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 brush. Or I would sing songs while he would brush his teeth. And I would say, okay, I'm going to sing this song 2 times. Do you think you can have all of your teeth brushed by the end of my singing? And we do it that way. And then we would dance while we were brushing our teeth. So I would sing my song, and he's brushing his teeth, and we're dancing in front of the mirror, and we're having fun. That motivated him to take action. I also have a picture here of my son on his first day of kindergarten and his last day of kindergarten. And I put this in here because the way that he just behaves in general, how he gets to school, is very action type. So what he'll do is he'll say, Mommy, we live, by the way, a block and a half from our grade school. So we walk to school every day. And he'll say, Mommy, let's race to the stop sign. And so we'll race to the stop sign. And then he'll say, Mommy, let's race down the block. And we'll race down the block. So if we make it a race, if we make it a competition, if we make it fun, he's happy to go to school. And when he gets to school, they make all the kindergartners stand in a line until the bell rings, and then they take them into the school. He doesn't want to stand in a line. He wants to have fun. So he's playing with his friends in the other lines and trying to break the rules, and the student moderators are trying to keep him under control. So I suggested that we play some games in line. So who can stand the straightest in line, and who can do the best job of listening to the other kids, and then they would pass out stickers for the ones that would behave. So that motivated him. He's like, ooh, a sticker? Okay. Made it a game. That was super helpful for him. So some parenting tips. Be prepared to do something spontaneous or last minute with your child who might be an action type. They don't need a plan, and they don't need to know what you're doing in 3 days, because all they care about is right now. What are we doing right now, Mommy? And they will often come up with ideas of, hey, I want to do this right now, or I want to do that right now. Be flexible with that. Allow them some opportunity to change it up if necessary. Give them enough rope to let them stretch the rules and express their freedom. Too many rules restrict them. So if you can be flexible in your rules or find fun ways to enforce the rules, you're going to have more success. Incentivize with games and chances to shine. They love to be the center of attention. So if you give them a chance to be in charge of something, to be a leader of a group, that often can help curb certain behavior problems that you might experience. And in fact, I truly believe that, all teachers should understand this tool to help manage their kids in a classroom, because you're going to have all these different personality types in a classroom. And I think that some children are misdiagnosed with ADHD, and they may just be action types. They may just, have a hard time sitting still, which my son definitely does. And they want to just have a lot of fun and socialize with friends. And the teachers may not necessarily know how to incentivize them in a healthy way to keep them on track. Nurturing type. So nurturing is yellow. Think of the sunshine and sunflowers and warmth. The box analogy, blueprints inside the box, action types outside the box. Nurture is recycle the box. Gift wrap the box and donate that box full of toys to needy children. Nurturer's commodity is relationships. They will do anything to help develop a stronger relationship with their friends, their family, their coworkers, their community. They absolutely love to help people. They're the first people to volunteer. And for nurturers in relationships, they need to also feel that you care about them more than you care about the dollar, more than you care about yourself, quite honestly. That you're really someone who wants to give and to help them out of the goodness of your heart. I've had some nurturing friends who, as an action type myself, I tend to have a lot of things going on at once. I'm go, 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 go all the time. And sometimes I'll forget to slow down enough to just call a friend and say, hey, how's it going? I just wanted to call and say hi for no reason other than I just wanted to see how you were doing. Nurturers appreciate that. And for those of us who are not nurturers, if we can be more conscious about how nurturers need to have that connection, they need to feel that connection, because nurturers can be such great friends for you. They can be the ones who never forget your birthday, who never forget your anniversary, who remember, the names of all your kids and your pets, and really, really reach out to help nurture you and care for you along the way. So if you take advantage of that, it can be really hard for a nurturer. It can really hurt their feelings. And you want to be aware of how you can help develop a relationship with a nurturer in a way that feels good for everybody. From a parenting perspective, you want to control your voice, speak softly, and act gently with a nurturer. Sometimes action types, for example, can be really loud and boisterous, and that can feel too harsh. Or blueprint and knowledge types can be too monotone, too flat in their speak. And that can feel to a nurturer a little bit like they don't care, like there's no emotion behind what they're saying. So you want to just, nurture a nurturer when you speak to them, when you interact with them. Take time to communicate in a loving way. Don't just share the facts and figures with them, but express feelings behind, what you're sharing. Nurturers speak the language of feelings, and they want to know that you feel and that you care. And everyone feels. We all have feelings, but some personality types are not as good as sharing those feelings. Spend time with your child one-on-one. They need your love and attention. So nurturing children, they need more attention than some of the other codes. So if you can have some planned one-on-one time, some special time just for them, that can make them feel extra special. Knowledge. It is green. I want you to think of the Excel spreadsheet logo being green. Think of the data in the movie The Matrix that comes down the screen as being green. Think of green energy, because green energy is a cutting edge technology. The box analogy, blueprints are inside the box, action types are outside the box, nurturers recycle the box, and knowledge types came up with the idea of a box. They are the ones who conceptualized the box. The commodity that knowledge types trade in is information. They love information. They love to consume information. They learn their whole entire life, and it actually is a sad day when a knowledge type realizes that they won't be able to read every book that's ever been written, that they're not going to know everything there is to know in the world. Because if they could have a chip put inside their brain that was downloading information into their brain while they slept, they would do it. when you are interacting with a knowledge type personality, they are going to be very logical in their approach. They're going to be very fact, data, black and white driven. So some conflict can come into place when you have a nurturer, for example, who comes from a place of emotion and feeling. And in fact, the personality types that are more emotional are the action types and the nurture types. They're more emotive. They wear their heart on their sleeve. They're very energetic. They're very expressive. You know exactly what they're thinking and feeling. Knowledge and blueprint types are going to be a little more reserved. They're going to be a little more even-keeled. And when a knowledge type is very logical and a nurture type is like, I don't care about the facts and figures. This is how I feel. In relationships, you can have conflict. One of my stepsons, Stephen, is a knowledge type. In fact, he's a knowledge blueprint. He got a perfect score on his SAT in math. He has an engineering degree and he works as a contractor for NASA. Okay, so he's very much a knowledge type. And he does not understand my parenting style with my son, Braden, who's an action type. He observes me parenting Braden and shakes his head. And he's all up in his head thinking about how what I'm doing is wrong and here's why. It doesn't make any sense. It's not logical. I'm spoiling him in some way, whatever it is. And it's just because he comes from a different perspective. His perspective, his logical brain is telling him one thing, and I know that I need to relate to my action son differently. And this speaks directly to when you have children who are different personality types, how you need to create a balancing act for how you parent one versus how you parent another, because they need different things and they respond differently to different things. Parenting tips for a knowledge type. Spend one-on-one time listening and discussing their thoughts and ideas. Knowledge types love to have in-depth discussions. In fact, they love to debate. They love to tell you all the reasons why they believe what they believe, and here's why, and here's all the data to back it up. So if you can engage in a conversation with them, a detailed conversation with them, that is a form of nurturing for a knowledge type. Be careful not to isolate them socially and help them to meet like-minded friends. Knowledge types could be, especially if they're introverted, they could be the type of kid who doesn't have a lot of friends or who is reluctant to be in social situations. So if you can encourage them to connect with other people, that can be very helpful. You can encourage them to play team sports or team clubs so that they are getting that interaction, and they can excel at sports just like action types can excel at sports. My knowledge type stepson, he was great at tennis. He loved to play tennis, and that was a great team sport for him. And it's social, right? So is your relationship bankable? Here's the thing. It may feel like, oh gosh, maybe I should only date someone who is my same personality type. Or, gosh, am I going to be able to raise a child who has a completely different personality type from me? It feels like so much work. There are ways to manage this because obviously we have all these people around us, whether we like it or not, right? They're all going to be different. And we are on this planet, honestly, to learn a lot of lessons along the way. And I believe that we have different personality types because we are meant to be learning more about ourselves and how to relate to each other and the world. So when you have a different personality code, for a dating partner, a marriage partner, a friendship, a child, we help teach you how to create, the synergy between those codes, how to take those moments that could be attacking and turn them into a good relationship where you understand and you empathize with each other for how they are being. Sometimes when I see another code doing something that I never would do, or it just feels like so against who I am, I say, oh, isn't that so nice? They're in their K or they're in their B. They're just being who they are. And that helps me not go into judgment about who they are. So what's your code? If you have somehow gotten this far and still don't know your code, please go to this link, mybankcode.com/colibrilife, and take your assessment. It takes less than 90 seconds. Sort those cards in order from most important to least important. Submit your information. If you have children in your life in any way and you'd love to understand what their code is, you can also purchase a set of these kids cards. And you can get those at bankvaluecards.com. You can also get a set of the regular value cards if you so choose. So don't forget to go there if you'd like some cards. And we'll also send you, there's also a PDF download in this community of the scripts that you actually use to help people understand how to shuffle the cards correctly and crack their code. And if you use the link, you do get a free personality assessment that's all about who you are and how you communicate. So don't forget to read that report. So I'm excited to be able to offer you a special in-depth training. And usually, and this is the Bank for Relationships training, it's a half-day class. And we talk about how do you create more synergy with everyone in your life, whether you're dating, you have coworkers that maybe you don't get along with, friends, you have family members. We all have family members that we don't understand, right? And that we don't always get along with. Students that you might, come in contact with if you're a teacher, your kids, whoever that is. It's a half-day course, and usually it's a $497 class. Because we are partnering up with the Colibri Life community, I'm able to offer you an amazing discount for this class. We're going to give you a special price of only $97, and we're going to give you a partner ticket for free. And the reason is we want you to bring a key relationship with you to this training. We want you to bring your son or your daughter or your spouse or your friend or your coworker, whoever it is that you would like to develop a stronger relationship with. I'm inviting you to come and to bring that person with you so that you can further understand this methodology at a deeper level. I've already given you a lot of great information, even if you decide not to move forward. Hopefully you've got some really good nuggets from this training to be able to make a difference in your life. But if you'd like to sign up for the next training, there's always another date coming, okay? So if you see a date on this landing page and it doesn't work for you for some reason, don't worry. There will be another date offered, but you go to bankrelationships.com and you're going to enter the discount code of Colibri Life, and that will change the price from $497 down to $97. I emphasize that this ticket is good for any of the upcoming trainings. So again, if you feel like the one that's listed on this website does not work for you, go ahead and get the ticket so you've got it. And then I will send you a list of upcoming training dates and you can pick the one that works for you. Okay? And then, of course, we do have another training called Why They Buy, and this is focused on business. So communication is communication wherever you go. So if you are a sales professional, a business person, you want to be more successful in your career, maybe you're an entrepreneur just starting up a business, maybe you've had a business for many, many years, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe it's a 9-to-5 job. It does not matter. Communication is important everywhere you go. We talk about how does Bank help you in business? How does it help you connect with prospects? How does it help you serve your clients in a deeper way? How does it help you create teams at work so that you're working better as a team and you can get more done and create more results, honestly, and help the people in a bigger way that you're meant to help through your business. So that training is also coming. Stay tuned. There'll be more videos on this platform, and I look forward to meeting and connecting with all of you in the Colibri Life community. Thank you so much.